Kentucky EPSCoR passed the 400 million mark last year in research funds secured for Kentucky academic researchers, and we are appreciative of the infrastructure building that those funds represent. We look for ways to conduct our conferences differently each year. For example, this year we have expanded the number of plenary topics and speakers. We also will be emphasizing some additional collaboration and funding opportunities. We thought about starting today's conference with a futurist presentation. A good futurist can be provocative in that they stimulate new ideas and thinking. And hence the book authored by Michio Kaku has been made available to you. Kaku is not a futurist per se, but he has interviewed 300 plus scientists about future science impacts. You know, the value of a futurist is not so much in the accuracy of their predictions, but in the mental expansions of what could happen and the discussion of current research activities that could make those predictions bear some resemblance to reality. Futurists are in the business of predicting how science and technology will change society, how your areas of research interest and activity may impact the future. Enjoy the book. We hope it stimulates your thinking. We desire that each conference we conduct will benefit you and meet Kentucky EPSCoR's objective of building science and technology infrastructure for the Commonwealth. I would like now to introduce Nancy Martin. Actually, Nancy doesn't require any introduction for most of you. You recognize her as being the former Senior Vice President for Research at the University of Louisville, and she is currently serving as chair of the statewide EPSCoR committee. Good morning, Nancy.
Thank you, Rick. And I want to add my welcome to all of you. There are some 200 people registered for this conference, and I was just counting how many chairs here, and we could have all fit in the center here, so you do have plenty of room to spread out. The statewide committee is made up of representatives from a variety of universities, the not-for-profit sector, and the for-profit sectors in Kentucky, all people interested in building research infrastructure and supporting economic development that grows out of research in the state. The committee does a variety of things. Probably the most important is working hard to assure that we have collaborations across all of those interested parties. We also work with our elected representatives both here in Kentucky and at the federal government level to encourage support for the EPSCoR program. You may or may not know, I'm sure you know that a good chunk of the EPSCoR support comes from the federal government, but we're required on many of those grants to provide matching funds, and those funds come from Kentucky. So for those of you that have benefited from this program, if you have the opportunity to thank your representatives either here locally or in Washington for the support that you've had, and if you can tell them a story about what that support has meant for the state and meant for you, it would be helpful for us as we move on to our 18th year in Kentucky to continue to have the funds to support the infrastructure growth that you all need to do your research. And I would like to introduce to you Jim Tracy, the Vice President for Research at the University of Kentucky.
Thank you, Nancy. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And I want to add my thanks to Rick and Liz and everybody else involved in organizing what looks like is going to be a wonderful 17th conference. I want to welcome you to Lexington and to the University of Kentucky on behalf of President Capilouto, who is currently traveling in China, trying to set up research collaborations there. This is also a very special time to have this conference in Lexington because 2012 is the 150th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's signing of the so-called Morrill Act of 1862, which established the land-grant university system in this country. For those who are too young to remember or who have not spent their lives at land-grant universities, this act was done at probably the worst time in our nation's history. Right at the height of the Civil War, Congress passed a law that granted to each state 30,000 acres of land for each representative and senator, and the states could sell the land, use that money to establish universities. In a couple of cases, the land grant is actually where the university ended up, and that's what most people think, but that's really not true. And so this was really the start of public education in this country. Before that, you had to actually have money to go to college. And I don't know about the rest of you, but if it weren't for the land grant system, I wouldn't be standing here today. So it's a great time to celebrate that history. While we're looking forward, it's always good not to forget the past and where we've come from.